Thought formations and implications, the implications of our thoughts in our behavior, in our day to day lives. My name is Masfin Destago Ramadan. I'll be exploring thoughts, the effect of thoughts in our day to day lives, and overall well being of our lives. So, the first question is, what is thought? What are thoughts? We know thoughts are formed in our brain, and it is said that myriads, millions of electrochemical reactions produce thoughts in our minds. But thoughts are energy forms. Like when water is formed, hydrogen plus oxygen, during that chemical reaction, energy is absorbed in the bonds so that we have a form of energy, a form of substance, and a form of energy. So everything that we see in life is a form of energy somehow. Some is more visible and easy to understand than others. But we can agree that every form, everything that we see in the universe are forms of energy, i.e., there is energy within them, there is motion within them, there is continuous rearrangement of molecules, atoms, electrons in them. So, thought is a form of energy. Thought can be pleasant, that is positive, or unpleasant, that is negative. But why do we say that is positive? Because when we say something is negative, it means it causes sadness, unhappiness, anxiety, and even fear in our body. So the thought that is formed in our mind has got an effect in our body. When it is negative, cause anxiety, some sort of unpleasant feelings, then these feelings also reinforce the bad thought in our mind. So the vicious cycle of the thought causing unhappiness strengthening the thoughts, and then the vicious cycle continues in our body. So, but when it is positive, it is more of nice feelings, expansion. In negative thoughts cause constriction, we contract. But when there is positive, it is expansion, it is relaxation. It is a nice feeling, and this nice feeling also feeds into our mind, and more the positive thought can be strengthened. So the body feeds the mind feeds the body with thoughts, and the emotional energy feeds the mind and strengthens the thoughts, whichever, whether they are negative or positive. There is this cyclical movement happening in our body. But do we have any choice to not follow the thought that appears or unfolds in our mind? There are hundreds and probably thousands of thoughts visiting us every uh, moment. Some of them go unnoticed. They're not threatening. They come and go, appear, disappear instantly. Some of them linger for longer. Some of them definitely stay there for a long, long time, entrenched in our minds, because we provide them with necessary sustenance of energy from our emotions. We believe them. So it seems that there is a choice for us not to follow whatever comes in our mind. When thought appears in our mind, then it is most of the time, if we believe that it is somehow linked with our existence, or if we feel that we are threatened, we tend to cling to it, reinforce it, believe in it, and then just being, captivated by that thought. We become captives of that thought. So, this thought becomes more strengthened, more energized, so as to cause more distress in our body. But do we have the choice not to follow it, not to believe it? Of course, we have a choice, but I think we are conditioned not to unfollow the thoughts that emerge in our mind, because we identify and believe that the thought is it's important that we think about it, we have to do something, and then we worry a lot about it, except that we are inflicting pain in our body. We're not doing much because our mind's possibility, the possibility that our mind can think of for the solution, in the midst of these zillions of possibilities that can happen in cosmos, is nothing. Is nothing. Thought processes are very important parts of survival, but with psychological thoughts and fear of the future and memories of the past, too much abuse, too much unnecessary thinking, too much conditioning is causing a lot of trouble for us. But if we can simply trust cosmos and ignore or not follow everything that comes in, and if we understand that whatever we do based on our thinking is not that productive or useful, maybe it could be an option for us to stay away and not to follow every thought that comes to our mind. But we can be neutral to thoughts. So the thoughts appear, they are noticed because all of them, they seek our attention. They want our attention. I'm important, I'm important, I'm important. You have to do this, you have to do this. We try to follow all of them. It's crazy. Even one of them, three of them, four of them, throughout the day, thinking about them. Nothing happens. If we think and do something about it is one thing. Action is called action. So we can say there are negative thoughts, positive thoughts, and we can leave our mind neutral. So we don't encourage the movement of thoughts to our feelings. So we cut it here. They appear. If we don't follow them, they cannot inflict happiness or sadness in our body. We'll talk about this happiness. Most people will think that positive thoughts are important. Probably they're not, but we shall discuss that one in a moment. So, why is it necessary to think about the past? Or is it necessary to think about the past? Maybe to remember something from the past as it relates to what is happening now. Now, maybe it is necessary, maybe it is not. But what is the point of reliving the past? We all do remember, relish our memory, going back, uh, whether they are pleasant or unpleasant memories. And why is it necessary? We can't fight our mind or the instances where something triggers the recalling or remembrance of the past. But we should be mindful and be aware not to dwell on that past memory. Because what's the point? It triggers emotions. So the body-mind interaction in this sense is not sophisticated. The body is most of the time being fooled by what the mind remembers. Therefore, if we are aware of this interaction, that is enough. It is not going to flow continuously and inflict the pain of whatever happens in the past in our body. So we have a choice of recognizing the fallacy of this process. It's not beneficial. The next point is, what about worrying about the future? I mean, planning about the future is one thing. When we plan about the future, we are doing something now. It is action. But worrying about the future is making up in our mind and then making it as a problematic before something is born, before something is unfolding in front of our own eyes. So the thought appears in our mind, and there is a kind of imagination of what will happen. And let's remember that our prediction, our, our forecast, is one of a possibility in trillion, zillion times. We don't know. So whatever happens in this moment, we can deal with it. But the madness is we are trying to create a scenario in our mind and fight with it before it is even born. So we are simply paralyzing ourselves when this happens. I think the most important thing is being ready, the readiness to deal with any unfolding thing, with any unfolding change in front of us. So that kind of readiness and attention and willingness to take action with whatever happens is a kind of training that we need to foster. But worrying, we do a lot of worrying every single moment. The mind seeks to worry, but recognizing that the mind seeks to worry, is one step further in dealing with our worries. Um, Worry about the future. The future is not born. The unborn future, we worry about it. It doesn't make sense, but we all the time do it. If something is important to take action, precautionary measure, that's a different story. But there is a limit to it too, because we might be wasting our time on simple fear that appears in our mind about the future. So it's a lot of waste of energy from the process of starting to think about it and to prepare for it and to invest a lot of time and energy for it. It may not happen. So worry about the future. If something comes, a visitor, a thought in our mind telling us about the future, I think we should be very cautious and be aware and not to follow that. I mean, if we believe that we are living because of our intelligent thinking about the future, well, that is a big question that we need a hell of discussion. And but I don't think so. There are certain things that we can do, and we can have full attention, focus, readiness, and neutrality. Neutral, not positive, not negative. So plan or worry about the future. I think we can do certain things now in preparation for something that we may believe is a recurring step. But to worry and make things problematic and to think that we have to control and secure everything, that is misunderstanding, huge misunderstanding about change processes in nature. Because in cosmos, in universe, changing is happening every time. And the change that happens is synchronized with what is happening here and with what is happening in the universe. So we can't go against this the vastness, unpredictable um, process. So we have to understand our limitations. And there is no such a thing saying about security, 100% security. The mind seeks to worry, and the mind seeks to be secured. That is the contradiction of our nature. But we have to understand and let go the security part of it. Whatever you do, whatever you try, there will be a time that everything is outside your control. So we have to appreciate this and take it easy. Um, Action is necessary, and action can only be triggered when there is something in front of us that requires action. Not a prediction, not an imagination. We can't act based on imagination. I don't think so. So this could be a huge controversial idea, but it's open for discussion. But this is the most important part: growth and expansion and strengthening of thoughts. A single idea, thought that appears in our mind, if we give it attention, full attention, it starts to have an impact in our body. What will happen next year when this something happens? I'll be without any cover. And then the more we think about it, especially in the night, it expands. And the body can be tricked and believes thoughts, and then it reacts. And the energy that rises up and clouds and strengthens and expands the thought. So we might end up sweating and short breath. But nothing happens if you see everything is okay in this moment, except in our mind. So attention, if we give attention, if we believe in every thought that appears, then we are in trouble. Why don't we experiment not to believe whatever comes? Say whatever comes, we shall see. Let it come. That is a state of readiness. To relinquish the kind of control that we want to have in day-to-day lives is the kind of courage that we want to possess. So unfollow any thoughts. Nothing will happen. The other option is to follow and suffer the vicious cycle of emotions, strengthening thoughts inflicting more sadness or anxiety. The other option is unfollow and wait for whatever happens. Be ready to deal whatever unfolds in front of you. Let's see here. Formation of thoughts. Small thought becomes bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So when it expands, our energy formation in our body starts to contract. Every arrangement is reorientated in our body. Energy rearrangement and reorientation. How we appear. The sadness that covers our face is energy formation. Look at our eyes, face, movement, the words that we utter. Formation of thoughts, formation of energy, rearrangement of energy. Incredible. This is the sustenance and continuity of thoughts. So we feed in the necessary emotional thing, and then with this vicious cycle, there is continuation, sustenance of thoughts. And the implications of this is that there is rearrangement of energy in our body, physical body. Sustenance and continuity of thoughts. The thoughts cause fear and terrorize us. But when, hang on here, who is being terrorized by thoughts? It's not us. It is our ego. The total annihilation of ego. So fear is caused by thoughts. And out of that fear comes out nervous actions, reactions. So it is thoughts and fear. But our actions are based on fear of the future. And whatever we do, the energy rearrangement in our body When it's communicated with other people, it can be picked up subconsciously. So we radiate negative energy, the energy arrangement, orientation of our body. First of all, our actions are based on fear, imagination of the future. Those are based on nervous reactions. Second, the orientation of energy from our body emanates negative energy. But can thought orientate the arrangement of our body's energy? It's correct. Arrangement and arrangement of our body's energy, that is body-mind coordination, is based on the thoughts that we have in our mind. So if we have negative thoughts, positive thoughts, or neutral, orientation of energy versus orientation of behavior and actions. So these three things go hand in hand. So when some form of energy, some form of thought appears in our mind and we follow it, and it causes this vicious cycle between our feeling, emotions, and thoughts, and strengthening each other mutually. And then these orientates our body energy and our behavior. We become so nervous and we act out of fear. So our behavior is controlled by these thoughts. So there is a likelihood, a high possibility that we end up achieving what we feared because of the entire orientation of energy. So whatever we have in our mind will be the destination or the result of our behavior. Because all our action is focused without really intentionally working towards it, but the whole orientation works towards achieving the fear in our mind. And that's what they call it, karma. Um, but never mind about that phrase, but we achieve what we feared. So if you don't want to achieve what you feared, don't follow that idea. Unfollow. Just leave it. Leave it. Don't trust it. Um, this is experimental that we can try in our daily lives. So there is no scientific equipment that we need to experiment this. Just let's try this ideas. Unfollow any bad idea that appears in your mind. Trust cosmos, universe, or be ready to accept whatever comes out of that. Because the other option is tested. You trust, you follow the bad idea, then you inflict pain in your body. And it's cyclical. It is a vicious cycle. So we want to avoid that. And in the end, you achieve what you feared. So that is an option. So unfollow thoughts. Follow, unfollow. This is the point. Um, yeah, that's it. Ending up achieving what we feared or hoped. So finally, we come to this question. What is the best energy orientation? Negative body orientation is not the best, obviously. And positive energy orientation is the best because when we try to shape positive energy in our minds, we become selective and we start to struggle to stay there. I think we should be neutral. When we are neutral, the natural orientation, energy orientation in our body is by default happiness and relaxation. Positive is a bit of stretch and struggle, but neutral is a natural state. It's a relaxed state. It's no pressure state. You can spring into positivity easily, but it's an aware, oh, the kind of we are aware of the states that we are in. We are not following any thought, but we stay very alert with great attention in a state of relaxation. What to do with thought that appears in our mind? Unfollow. It's easy. And now we know from this social media, follow, unfollow. Unfollow anyone, any thought that comes here. And just be neutral, alert. And that is our state of happiness and tranquility and peace. But to say the last word. This is the kind of thoughts that we don't want to follow or unfollow. It is up to us to experiment in our daily life and find what is suitable for us. I think there's a big mistake to say this is right, this is wrong, because it worked for someone. Everybody has the capacity, the potential to experiment and find the balance for themselves. So I thank you very much for watching this presentation. Thank you. Hope to see you next time.